Okay, just so you know, I can't remember if I told you, but I am going, anytime I talk about a new section, I will record. Okay, so if you are gone for a school activity, or you're sick, or you have a doctor's appointment and you miss class, and you want to make sure you don't fall behind, you can always go watch the recording on Canvas. I'll put it under the Recordings tab here, and then it will be under Chapter 1 for today, and then the new recording will be there. Okay, so if you ever miss, you can always go and catch up. All right. Yesterday, that was all my fault. I actually had the textbook check assigned, but it was the wrong chapter. It was 2.1, so I apparently picked the wrong one when I assigned it. So that it won't be held against you. You don't have to take it now. You don't have to make it up. There just won't be a grade for it in Canvas. Okay. Just as a refresher, I mentioned it already, but when we're doing a new section, which we'll always be doing a new section unless we have a quiz or a test the next day, and then then you don't have to do this. But before every class period, you need to go to the next section, read the material, watch the videos, and then when you walk into class, immediately open your Chromebook, start doing the textbook check. It should only take us 3 to 4 minutes to get that done, instead of 5 or 10 minutes to wait for everybody to go get drinks and go to the bathroom. So if you need a restroom, do it between class. If you need a water bottle, bring it to class, so we don't waste a lot of time waiting on everyone. Does that make sense? Okay. Review from yesterday, just dealing in points, lines, and planes. It should have been really easy for everyone, I hope. Something you've seen before. Something maybe you hadn't known or maybe you didn't understand was when you label a point, is it a lowercase or uppercase letter?
Uppercase.
Uppercase, and it's always just bold block letters. It's not italics, like cursive. So I could name that A. If I'm talking about a line that goes through 2 points, maybe say A and B, I would write that line AB with arrows on it, indicating it's a line that goes in both directions. So if I asked you the length of this line, you would say it's infinite. There's no length to it. The line goes on forever. Okay. If we're talking about a ray, I wanted to talk ray AB, the arrow tells me what direction. So the A is going to be the starting point. B means it goes on forever in that direction. If I wanted it to start at B and go left, then I would write the ray that way. Starting point, and then what does it go through? It goes through A forever in that direction. Okay, planes. We can also label lines with an italic or cursive lowercase letter. So sometimes on diagrams you won't see a line labeled, you'll see a little cursive lowercase letter, and that's referencing a specific line. It should be right near the line it's talking about. Okay, so I could call this line L, or I could call it line AB, and either way is correct. Okay, when we talk about planes, you have to have how many points to name it? 3. And can they all be in the same line? No, because if they're in the same line, I don't know what direction. Hopefully you guys watched that video that I recorded from last year's class. Did she play that?
She couldn't figure it out.
She couldn't figure it out. Okay. Well, why don't I play that real quick, just so everybody, because I'm kind of going through what you would have seen yesterday. Where do I want to go? Geometry. No.
By the way,
And section 1.
Yeah, I had to check it up. I dropped it and I kicked it.
Early elementary, learning about, can you hear? A point and 2 points make a line, and 3 points make a plane. But we're going to learn a little bit about how to name things with symbols, what kind of letters to use when you're naming points, lines, and planes, and what they really mean. And one thing you need to know with a line, Normally we draw a line like this, and 2 points are required to make a line, because if I only have 1 point, I don't know which direction the line's going to go until I put the second one in there, right? So I have to have 2 points to get a line. Now, just because these 2 points are A and B, the line actually goes on forever. I put arrows to indicate that, but a lot of times people think line is like this length, or a line is this length, or a line is infinite, but we can't draw that, so we just put arrows showing that it goes on forever. Okay? Planes are the same way. If I said this piece of paper was a plane, okay, the plane's not constricted to just the shape. It goes on in both 2 dimensions, this direction and this direction, forever. Okay, but we just draw a rectangle to say it's a plane, but really I want you to envision it as going on forever in both directions. The reason we need 3 points to name a plane, and the 3 points have to be non-collinear. So what's collinear mean? On the same line. Okay, so if I told you it takes 3 points to create a plane, and you gave me 3 points that are on the same line, I still don't have that final direction. I don't know which way to angle the plane without that 3rd point. Okay? So here's an example of what moving the points around. Here, if I just keep these 2 fixed, and I have this point, and I move it, that kind of tells me which way to tilt this plane. That 3rd point is really important. And it's same here. If this is my line, and I move this point, these 2 are fixed, and that's the line, but now the plane is moving at whatever direction that point exists for that 3rd point. Okay, so 3 points are required to define a plane, not just 2. And they can't be collinear points, because if I just give you a straight line, I don't know what that rotation needs to be without that point off the line. Make sense so far? Okay, so when we describe points, lines, and planes, points are always capital letters, like bold capital. Lines are represented by this symbol, meaning it goes direct in both directions. And I might call this line AB. That tells me it's a line that goes through the point A and the point B. Okay? Or if I've got this line going through point A and B, I could always call it line L as an alternative. When I call lines by one letter, that letter has to be lowercase and italicized, like cursive. Okay, so one way I can call this line is line L. Another way I can call it is line AB, because it takes 2 points to define the line. Okay?
Why is it line L?
Because I just labeled it that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I could have called it J or M, but I just labeled it L. Okay, so you're going to see, sometimes you're going to see complicated drawings. You're going to have, all these points, and you're going to have another line, and you're going to have, but every now and then you're just going to see this little letter by a line. That's the name of the line. Okay, it's not a point, because it's italicized and it's lowercase. Okay. Rays start at a point and go on forever in one direction. If it's pointing to the right, the point it starts at is the first letter in that system. If it's pointing to the left, that I would call ray BA. Means it starts at B and it's going through A on its way to infinity. A is one of the points. Okay. Now, if I have a line, let's do a line and not. Let's say, okay, I could say this is line AC, I could say it's line AB, I could say it's line CA, I could say it's line BA. With lines it doesn't matter because it goes on forever. And as long as you name 2 points on the line, that's a way to name it. So there's lots of ways to name the same line. Okay? When I'm dealing with rays, if I wanted to talk about another way to name ray AB, I could also say it's ray AC. It has to have the same starting point, but any point you've identified that goes on forever that it goes through can be part of the name, as long as it's got 2 letters. Okay? And because ray AB goes from this point to infinity, it goes through point C. Therefore, I could also say it's equivalent to AAC. These are the same ray. Okay? I can't say it's equivalent to BC because that's a different starting point. Right? They're always to be the same ray, they have to have the same starting point. Okay? Segments don't have arrows. Segments are just truncated lines. Okay? So segment AB, I could have line AB, but when I'm talking about segment AB, I'm just talking about this piece right here, not the whole thing. Okay? The other thing, if I have ray, let's call this AB, and I have ray AC, these are called opposite rays. They begin at point A, one ray goes to B, one ray goes to C, and what's interesting about opposite rays, when they're put together, they form a line. So opposite rays form a line. Okay. So let's look at the textbook and video check. The other thing I should know, when you're talking about planes, I'm going to deal with a plane here. Remember, it takes 3 points and they can't be on the same line. 2 of them can, because this would be the same line, that would be the same line, this would be the same line. But the 3 of them can't to define a plane. Planes are always defined by capital italicized letters, like letter J. But it's you always see it's kind of tilted a little bit, or it's cursive, or it's capital letter. So this plane could be called plane J. I should do little j. Or plane ABC. Both of those mean the same plane. Okay? So looking at this, the symbol below signifies which geometric figure? Ray BA. Because it's going left, that means B is at the end of it, and A is with the point that it's going through to infinity. Ray BA. Question 2, true or false? Ray CA and line KF are coplanar, meaning on the same plane. Coplanar means the same plane. Collinear means the same line. Are coplanar with the plane J. You see how they have the J and it's kind of tilted? There it is. Right, described. So is that true or false? False, because KF is not on plane J. KF goes through plane J. Point K is on the plane, point F is not. So therefore, those two, the ray and the line, are not coplanar. They're not on the same plane. Make sense? Okay. True or false, the only difference between a theorem and a postulate is that a postulate is assumed true and a theorem must be proven true. You're going to learn a lot about proofs in this class, and we're going to have postulates that are given to you as fact because there's no way to prove them. So you just have to assume that they're true. You're going to use those postulates then to prove theorems true. So this is true. Okay. The intersection of 2 planes is what shape? A line. So let's pretend this piece of paper folded. Half of it is a plane that's running this direction, and the other half's a plane that's running up and down. You can see where the fold is. The shape of that is a line. Where 2 planes intersect is always a line, never a point, because there's an infinite number of points where these 2 planes go forever, right? 2 lines always intersect at what?
2 lines always intersect at
a point. Okay, 2 lines, there'll always be 1 point of intersection for 2 lines. And then according to the video, opposite rays form a line. Line. Okay, so you have 2 assignments for every section. One is
Okay. So,
that's what should have been played yesterday. And now you have a good idea of what the recordings look like in the event you miss class. That's what you would have seen, because I would have had that posted. And okay. So today we're just going to add to this just a little bit and just talk about segments a little more. Remember, a segment is identified as capital letters of the 2 points that are the endpoints of the segment, and then just a line on top without the arrows. And that tells you it's a segment. If you see this, it's just referring to the segment in the drawing. Okay, so let's just do some points here. So this is just a way for me to identify, I'm talking about segment AB. If you see an M in front and then the letters AB, it's asking you what the measurement is of that segment, how long it is. Okay, so the line on top is just the nomenclature for how I call this. The M in front is asking specifically for what is the length of that. Does that make sense? Okay. When you're measuring segments with a ruler, there's something called a ruler postulate, and it's really easy. The ruler postulate says the difference between the measurements on a ruler, you know, like if you're putting it up against a segment and you see 3 on the left and 4 on the right, okay, the measure is 1 unit, and it's always positive. We learned that a long time ago. I hope distance is always positive. So the ruler postulate says anytime you're measuring something, you take the difference between the 2 endpoints, and your number is always a positive unit. That's the ruler postulate. Okay? And then we had one more postulate in this section, which was called the segment addition postulate. And the segment addition postulate looks like this. If I have 3 points on the segment, I know the distance from A to B plus the distance from B to C equals the distance from A to C. And I could say that segment AB plus segment BC equals segment AC. So you may have some questions where maybe this segment is labeled with this algebraic expression, and this segment is labeled, and let's say that we know the length of AC is 17. AC is 17. And then we want to solve for x. Well, we'd use the segment addition postulate. Sometimes it helps to write it out like I have here, and then just substitute in what you know for each segment until you kind of get the hang of it. So I know AB is 2x minus 3, and I know BC is 4x plus 7, and I know AC is 17, the measure of AC. So now I've got an equation I can solve for x. Okay, so we use the segment addition postulate a lot to solve for either unknowns or length of one segment when we know the whole in another, something like that. But that's the segment addition postulate. If you've got more points on a segment, you can just keep saying segment AB plus BC plus CD plus EF and so on is the whole length. Okay, so for today you've got CK12 for 1-2, and you've got big ideas for 1-2. Did anyone have issues or questions on 1-1 that you want me to help you with? 1-1 is due tonight at midnight, so you always have 2 class periods for every assignment. Today's assignment will be due tomorrow at midnight, so if you have some issues with anything and you want to talk about it the next day, you still have time before the deadline. Does that make sense? Any questions on kind of procedure or what's expected? So tomorrow you should come ready to have the textbook check on section 1-3.
Can you help me?
Yeah.
Caleb? Yeah.